Our private client Joka Cuts more than doubled his monthly income as a barber from $3,000 a month to over $8,000 a month in just a few months of hard work. What's good, YouTube? My name is Bristol. I scaled my barber business to $15K per month at just 18 years old. Now I help dozens of other barbers to do the same. In this video, I'm gonna break down for you guys 3 easy actionable steps that you can go ahead and steal from Joka, how he doubled his income as a barber in the Bronx, New York, one of the most saturated markets where there's tens of thousands of barbers all competing for the same clients, and what he actually did to allow himself to stand out, separate himself from the competition, and become that 6-figure barber. Watch you guys listen to me well. Our private client Joka Cuts actually doubled his income and his following working with us, right? Back when he first came to us, he was doing about 3.6K monthly. You guys can steal his exact strategy, but there was really 3 main things that needed to happen before he could become this barber doing over 8K a month, right? As you guys can see, average spend went up by around $17. So went from getting around 70 a cut to 88 per cut, doing way more cuts, double the amount of haircuts, right? Getting fully booked out instead of just being half booked out, doubling his income just through content. What is good, YouTube? In this video, we're going to be going over for you guys exactly 3 actionable steps that you guys can go ahead and steal from Joka Cuts on how he doubled his income being a barber in New York City, one of the most saturated markets in the entire barber industry, right? So for Joka, it really came down to these 3 things, right? The first thing was having engagement versus conversion, because when he came to us, he did already have a bit of a head start. He knew how to make his videos spike for his audience, right? The problem was he had absolutely no clients for his price, right? And he just couldn't get a price raise. The second thing we went ahead and implemented for him was actually fixing his scheduling and pricing. So dialing in the systems of his business, dialing in the back end stuff. And the third key crucial step, and probably the most important, is actually fixing his mindset, fixing the way that he thought about success, the way he thought about business, and the way he actually approached his work. When we first started working with him, he was struggling with discipline. He was struggling with having a positive mindset. He was struggling with being consistent, and he just wasn't being fulfilled by the money that he was making. He was just super burnt out, and now he's went ahead and done a complete 180. He's consistent, he's disciplined, he's motivated some days, and even when he's not, he still shows up and does the work, and just overall a very positive outlook on his business, right? Obviously, the first and most important thing that we went ahead and implemented for him was fixing up his content strategy, right? If we go onto his page, he posts mainly 3 different types of videos. The first video that he does is these entertaining, almost ASMR satisfying videos where he talks about tapering hairlines, right? So how I tapered his hairline. And you can see it's literally just a tapered hairline video, very simple, right? But because he's built an audience for these tapered hairline videos, they often spike, right? I mean, his following has literally more than doubled since we started working with him. He's often spiked for him, sometimes up to 1 million, 400K, 260K, and even on TikTok as well. So another huge thing for him, right, was fixing his content strategy and also getting on TikTok, prioritizing TikTok, right? So these videos spiked for him both on Instagram and TikTok. When he first came to us, he was really only using Instagram, right? He wasn't even marketing himself on TikTok. So just based off that shift alone, by actually starting to market himself on TikTok, prioritizing TikTok, which is the #1 platform for barbers right now, he was able to literally double his new clients booked, right? Double the reach that he had on possible new eyes on his business and potential new clients, right? And so again, he always got these engagement posts to blow up, right? How to line up a Cadillac, 2.7 mil, 1.3 mil, right? 100K right here. These were his bread and butter content, right? This is what his audience wanted to see from him. This is exactly what people came to Joka Cuts to watch. However, the problem is that since he didn't show the after, oftentimes it literally just was not converting to clients, right? And again, really easy to get engagement. A lot of people commenting on the actual hairline, but these people just wouldn't book in, oftentimes because there was no showcase, right? He wasn't posting any type of showcases. And this goes back to the barber content funnel. Again, I'll make a full video on this. It should be on my page if you guys want to see a full breakdown of what the barber content funnel is. But in short, right, he didn't have anything to convert. It was just a lot of entertainment, right? It was just a lot of these satisfying videos, but nothing to really show why you should actually book with Joka Cuts as a barber, right? So if we go down, right, we started implementing these voiceover and consultation posts for him, which actually started to bring him in new clients, right? And at first we experimented with voiceovers like this, right?
Go over for his date tomorrow. His last barber pushed him back, so that's why I'm here today. So we're preparing him for this super hot fire tape.
And with these videos, right, they was just mainly a voiceover aspect, but there wasn't really anything kind of making him unique, making him stand out. And there definitely wasn't anything that was helping him build a personal brand, because oftentimes he wasn't showing his face. So as we went more and more into these, he started to actually do more of these voiceover consultation styles, showing his face on camera, right? Talking, being himself, showing his personality, and specifically getting into what problem he solved for his clients.
Now, how y'all let bro walk outside with that taper hair? His taper hair was running away, so I needed some.
Right, and he specializes in tapered hairlines. He specializes in people who have cowlicks on their hairline, and the hairstyle that he markets to is people who either have a man bun hairstyle, maybe they get braids, but either way, they need to have like a correct front taper. And so he markets himself as the hairline lineup taper hairline specialist, right? right? And this is how he's able to attract clients in a market as saturated as New York City, where there's thousands, if not tens of thousands of barbers, all competing for the same clients. So again, he fixed the showcasing, right? When he first came to us, he wasn't even including showcases at all in his content or on his story. He was barely showing his work off. He was just doing these videos almost like a hobby, right? We went ahead and fixed that. We made sure that we had the right angles, right? Right lighting, right angles on his showcase. Everything looked right. Went ahead and made sure that he's actually marketing to a specific client, right, with the CTA. And simply just by showing off one thing, by showing off hairlines, he was able to, again, position himself as an expert in one area rather than just trying to be everybody's barber. So he became known as the hairline specialist in the Bronx, right? If we look, these videos always start with a strong hook. They always start with showcasing his personality, and he has a perfect mix of blending together these engagement posts, right? Get the reach to go up, get a lot of new eyes on your page, and then once they're on there, flood your story with top tier showcases that make the client want to book in, as well as these voiceover consultations with the CTA, right? To actually,
he need his shit finesse, but I need a doctor diploma. I don't even know what diploma it is, but I need a doctor diploma. Just look how I'm saving this man. I gotta stop going to these whack barbers that don't have.
Big difference in the content from before, right? Secondly, the scheduling / pricing. So when Joker Cuts first came to us, I believe he had over 60 spots per week available just to be completely, not booked out, completely empty schedule. So what do we do to fix this? We actually nearly cut the amount of slots in half, right? We sat down, we decided what was his monthly goal income and his monthly goal price, and then we just simply worked towards that, right? A lot of barbers, they don't goal set. They kind of are just going through the motions. They don't have a very specific vision of where they're trying to be, right? And that's the reason that a lot of them never really make progress. It's literally just because, again, there's no specific goal. I want to make more, I want to charge more. Okay, what does that mean? How many haircuts are going to be doing weekly, monthly? How much you're going to be charging? From what hours of the day you're going to work? So we created with him, right? We sat down on a call and worked with him to custom fit to him his dream schedule, right? And what worked for him and what would make him the most productive. So we created his dream schedule with him, and this allowed him to, be the most productive and give the most work output, right? And again, by reducing his availability, we actually helped increase demand, increase client bookings, because nobody wants to see a schedule flooded out. The same way that nobody wants to wait 4 or 5 days to book, nobody wants to see 10, 15 spots all open for tomorrow, making it look like you're not busy at all. You have to have that sweet spot in between where clients know that you're busy and that you're in demand, but you're not too busy that they can't even get an appointment, right? So again, reducing the availability actually helped us to create demand, helping him to make more money and get more booked out. Because again, instead of having his schedule be all over the place, come in at 9 a.m. and come in at 9 p.m., why not just shorten the amount of availability down? This way we can have a compact schedule, right? Get the work in the business done and then go home, work on the business, right? Study the market, edit content, post what he needs to post, work on himself, right? All these things that are going to allow us to have like a healthy business workflow that's actually going to help his business have longevity. And again, this allowed more structure to his days. He wasn't all over the place. He wasn't running to and from the shop to do haircuts. His days were very structured, and he would block off time, right? Mornings are for this, evenings are for this, nights are for cutting hair, right? And everything has its specific time. Lastly was his pricing, right? When he came to us, he was already charging a little bit of a more premium price, right? Again, he's in the Bronx, New York, a very saturated market. If there's tens of thousands of barbers, and what is the one thing that most barbers in that area have in common? Relatively low prices, right? So by elevating his prices and actually creating demand, you're able to separate yourself from the rest of the crowd and stand out. People begin to wonder why you're charging high prices, and if your content backs up the demand that people see, they're going to easily justify to themselves paying a more premium price for your service, right? And again, he positioned himself as a specialist in one area, specifically marketing the hairline and specifically the tapered hairline, creating a hairline from no hairline. He positioned himself as the premium option in the area instead of just trying to be everybody's barber. And lastly, he actually marketed one service, right? When he first came to us, he had a bunch of different tiers. He had the $50 tier, the $30 tier, and the $40 tier. We got rid of that, right? We did an unofficial price raise and just cut out all the unnecessary ones, right? Because again, allowing him to market just one service instead of 10 different services allows you to further position yourself as actually a specialist, right? A haircut is a haircut. You don't need a hot towel, and you don't need a massage, and you don't need 10 different haircut options. If you just market one thing, premium haircut, that's going to take you way farther than having all these different service options. But now we've officially raised his prices again from 50 to 75 for the haircut instead of having 3 or 4 or 5 different services. Again, the fact that he's tracking these numbers, right? And that up here, we have all these numbers tracked. We have the average spend per client. We have the new clients booked. We have the total amount of cuts done. This allowed us to troubleshoot and figure out exactly what was the main bottleneck holding him back within the business, what specific area he needed to work on, right? What main focus he needed to have, right? Let's say he needed to get more haircuts done in a week, or he needed to get more new clients to allow him to go up on price, which ultimately led right to his big price jump all the way from 50 to 75 a haircut. Most barbers, they go up on like $5 a cut, $10 a cut, thinking it's the most effective way. The best and most efficient way to scale, right, is by doing these large price jumps, but doing them the right way, right? Because a lot of barbers might try this because they see somebody else do it online and they end up just killing their business. Why? Because they guessed, right? They didn't have the numbers. They didn't know how many new clients it would take to safely and accurately price raise their business, right? So by tracking the numbers, we were able to actually scale him as safely as possible without causing any damage to the business and allowing him to essentially increase his haircut price by an additional 50%. And the last most crucial thing again is mastering his mindset, right? When he first came to us, he was inconsistent, unmotivated, undisciplined. He let his emotions control the business, and that's one of the worst things you could do, right? There's a quote, I'm sure a lot of people have heard it, stick to the plan, not the mood. When Joker first came to us, he was the definition of stick to the mood and not the plan, right? If he felt off for a day, right? If he had a lack of motivation, that just meant that there was no post going out. And the easy fix for anybody that is struggling with this is that you have to make consistency a part of your identity, right? Don't tell yourself, oh, I'm trying to become more consistent this week. I'm gonna try and post more this week, right? The solution is, it's like a hygiene routine, right? It's like taking a shower. You are consistency. Like, you have to identify yourself, right? You have to tell yourself that being a consistent person is part of your identity. And that was a huge identity shift for Joker Cuts, right? He went from being the person who's sometimes motivated, sometimes feeling down, to the person who tells himself, I'm consistent, right? And I'm going to get 1% better every day. And that's just who I am. Again, he improved one thing at a time and had a main focus, right? We didn't just make all these changes at once. We went week by week, having a main focus each week. This way he could concentrate and actually improve, right? 1 week was showcases, 1 week was his conversion, right? 1 week was specifically focused on booking more new clients and increasing his client retention by providing a better service, right? And we figured out the reason behind why he was working to his goals, right? Because a lot of barbers are just working in a little like a cycle, right? They're just working every day, just burning themselves out. And they have no goals to actually work towards, and they have no checkpoints either, right? Because they don't have a specific goal. And beyond the goal, they don't even know why they have these goals. So we really took the time to sit down, do the inner work, figure out why he had these goals, right? Why he had these big goals, who he was doing this for, and that allowed him to push through and be disciplined even on days that he wasn't motivated, right? Showing up regardless of emotions or how he felt. And I mean, he even has a story right here, right? You guys can see he crashed his car, and still, instead of allowing the car crash to be the end of his business and ruin his momentum, he flipped it, right? The car accident allowed him, he says right here, so much rage that he put it back into the business, right? He says, I could have been laid up sad and depressed. Instead, I chose to pour it into my business in a positive way. He says, choose your hard, right? Either you could have a hard life just sitting around complaining why you're not making money, why you're not putting in the work, why you don't feel motivated, or you could just get up, do the work that needs to be done. And yes, it's hard, but anything in life worth doing is going to be hard, right? So again, these three things really actually allowed Joka to go from that barber that was not even booked out, right? Only making $3K a month, all the way to over doubling his income, hitting an $8K a month and charging $75 a cut in the Bronx, New York, in a market that has tens of thousands of barbers, right? He allowed himself to stand out, being one of the top Bronx barbers, probably being the top barber in his borough on social media in New York City, and just really becoming that barber that actually stands out. So that's pretty much the end of the video, guys. Hopefully you guys were able to take 3 actionable items away. If you want to know exactly how we did this, doubling his monthly income, book a call, link in bio, see if we can help you out.